Welcome to Conversations in South St. Paul. I'm Mayor Jimmy Francis, and we have a special third guest for the podcast, Honora Rodriguez from the Dakota County Library. And thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. I'm a podcast fan. This is a big deal.
You were saying that before we started, that you wanted to be on a podcast, and now you've
This is my second.
made this happen, and you're on your second podcast.
I manifested.
Yes. Isn't that something? Before we get started, I always like to ask a couple questions just to kind of get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
So what's your favorite band or music genre if you have? If you don't have a favorite band, maybe you have a favorite genre of music.
Sure. I am unprepared, but I would say there's this Canadian band called Stars that I love and I've seen many times. And yeah.
Is it a modern band or is it like from your childhood, a Canadian
It's
band?
from my 20s.
Okay.
So they've been around a bit, but yeah, they're great.
That's great. Sports? Are you into sports? Do you have a favorite sports team?
Not so much. No. I grew up with whole football family, even like my mom, like crazy. So I was dragged to a lot of games and no. But I'd rather play a sport and I'm really good at badminton.
Badminton?
Yeah.
Who would know that?
It's easy.
Yeah, that's a fun one. That's
It
a
is.
game in our yard, used in our yard a lot.
Great.
And then what do you do in your free time? If you could do anything you want, be anywhere, what are you choosing? What's Honora choosing to do?
Sure. I am doing a summer Friday today, leaving work early, and the plan is we got a hot tub, I got chickens, so they'll be roaming around, and I'll probably be planting some stuff in the garden.
So
Those are my things.
That's your happy spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Backyard.
Hot tub, chickens, planting.
Absolutely.
That's great. We get to know a little bit more about you. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And we'll be maybe thinking about a badminton tournament that we could do somewhere.
Well, if you want to get
Whooped.
slaughtered.
Yeah. We had a teacher, Doc Flom, back at the high school, and he could take on 3 or 4 of us in badminton and beat us all.
Did you have 2?
Nope.
Okay.
No, one guy, and you would think that he was, but he could get it and drop it just right in. And so I'm probably like you. He's
Okay.
Probably
Probably not as good, but
not as good as you. Yeah, probably.
I'm out of practice a little bit. But
So you're a librarian.
I am a librarian.
Tell me what that entails to be a librarian.
Well, I went to school for a very long time. I've worked in libraries for like 17 years. I started in my undergrad. I was an English major, and so I started working at a library at the U of M, the Children's Literature Research Collection, which was super cool. They have like original illustrations and manuscripts. So I found some Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss, illustrations that hadn't been cataloged. So I've seen those. There's a book with Walt Disney's signature. We had a copy of Louisa May Alcott's Little Men that was signed. And so, authors would donate their whole collection, and we'd go through it with white gloves. And so that was like a student job and kind of got me excited about libraries. But then I went off and did other things. I ran group homes. And then I got a part-time job in 2007, just for fun, at the South St. Paul Library, and I worked the circulation desk. Then went to library school, got my master's, and then did adult services there for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you really did get hooked by being in it in college, or did you have a kind of a hook in grade school or before that?
Sure. There were in my family, it's a long line of like my great grandmother. Oh, if someone listens to this in my family, they'll be mad at me for not knowing exactly. But my aunt was involved in libraries, but it wasn't like a lifelong dream.
Sure.
Academic library is a lot different from public library. So I would say actually working in group homes with folks with disabilities, mental illness, really got me into wanting to help people.
Okay.
And that's what public library work is.
Yeah.
Real people focused and service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get to work out of a beautiful brand new library in South St. Paul, the Kaposia Library. Tell me about that.
Sure. So I worked in the old library for a long time, and I saw how much the community loved that building. It was just really hard to do modern library work in that building. It just needed so much and hadn't quite, kept up with modern library standards. Um, so while I liked the quirky charm, it did make my job real difficult, technology wise.
Yes.
Just even sometimes having programs was difficult because, the HVAC was weird and we just had to think about all those things. So, super excited to be able to get the opportunity to, kind of be involved a little bit in the design. I wasn't directly, but just and then watching this building be constructed before my eyes and just the excitement of the community. Yeah, it's a beautiful building
It is.
and it functions so much different than the old one. And our numbers are actually our circulation is twice what it was at the old building. And our gate count is unreal. Super busy. So the community, and it's just 4 blocks away from the old building, but it's way more central in a way.
It sure is.
Right by the school, the community center, just kind of right in the middle, and in the middle of neighborhoods on every direction.
Yeah.
We were over by the bluff before. I don't know. People are moseying in more than they did before.
Yeah. It's a beautiful outside as you look at it at night.
Mm-hmm.
The lights, it's centered perfectly down 7th Avenue, so it's a draw. It gets your attention.
Yeah.
I think it's wisely placed, but inside, what you all do or what your county predecessors, they know libraries and they know functionality, and they really laid that out in such a way that as a user,
Mm-hmm.
it's wonderful. I've used the rooms there, the
Mm-hmm.
meeting rooms, easy, quick. We didn't have that before,
No.
and nor did I think that I needed that. But in a pinch moment, instead of doing having an important meeting on a Zoom call or
Mhm.
even in person to meet with somebody, to be able to have that access and go over there and do that. And I went several times when kids were there,
Mhm.
and it was that experience was also, we've talked about this
Mhm.
offline, but that experience was as good as any other time, because although it was busy and stuff was going on, you all have it figured out. You know where everybody is. You know the cadence already, and it's not even been open that long, but you've really shown that you understand the users of the library. And I can, as a user, I see how that flows, and it's pretty cool.
That's really great to hear because we put a lot of work into it, and it's probably so what we're talking about is the library is next door to the high school and middle school. So we knew we'd have a lot of teen patrons pouring through our doors. But the library is so cool that there's more than we ever could have imagined coming in every day. And that comes with anything you'd expect from middle school, high schoolers. There's some drama.
Yeah.
There's fighting sometimes. So, and with the numbers we get, it's crowd control. So we do work really hard on it, because we're trying to achieve the balance of you're safe here, you can be engaged here.
We want you
We
here.
want you here, but this library is for the whole community. So we got to really teach them how to behave in a public library. Some of them think we're part of the school. They call us teacher. Look, we are here for everybody.
Right.
But next year we've talked with the schools and we're going to do an orientation for the incoming 6th graders. So every
Terrific.
year, just kind of say what's expected and
Yeah.
how things are. We have tons of programming for teens, and there are mm, ah, mm, everyone uses the library, but they get a lot of our attention for sure, and we're happy to do it.
Yeah.
So
And is that a time slot? School, after school hours. That
2:30 to about 4.
Okay.
We have like a staff scheduled to be doing the walkarounds. We use walkie-talkies to communicate. We offer a snack service right after school. So a lot of kids just come in, grab snack, and go. It's a bustling.
What a great thing, right? To have in our community and we deserve that nice looking building, but also the nice people that you are that are forward thinking about how do we gain trust and respect from these kids, and you find it through their stomach,
Oh yeah,
and that's a
they're
good
hungry.
that's a good thing. And as the mayor coming in, I get treated differently from them, and some don't know who I am, and somebody, some of
Hmm.
them ask questions, and that's not it. I'm more empathetic to what you go through because I have teenagers,
Hmm.
and so
Hmm.
I do know that there's this cycle, and the brains aren't fully developed, and don't get excited because that gets them excited, and they just want to get
Yeah,
you excited. So
for
don't
sure.
get excited.
No, don't get hooked in.
Don't get hooked in on it. Yeah, but you do. I think again, your team has done a wonderful job of opening up this new library for everyone that's new, and then also embracing the closeness to the school and that comes, and also I also signed up. I'm one of the early. I can come in early and stay late to the library. So you're also managing that program, which was not something a city library ever did.
No.
This is a county program, and
Yeah.
counties are way different. So tell me maybe or our listeners, a little difference between a city library versus the county library, and that experience because you've worked for both.
Sure. Yeah. So we were one of the few independent city libraries in the metro. I think we were one of three. So there are now two, Columbia Heights and Stillwater. So we were funded through city tax dollars versus county tax dollars, and we had our own library director, and we had a lot less red tape, but also less support of a larger system. So um, there's pluses and minuses of both, but I will say the 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 support of I have 9 other branch managers that I can lean on. We have everything centralized. At the old library, we were doing all our own cataloging, and we were doing all our own purchasing, and we were paying all of the bills, and so we were doing a lot that is now sourced centrally at the Egan Library with teams, and they're so great at what they do. And so that's really great to then just be able to focus on the day-to-day operations of the library. I do miss ordering cookbooks. That was fun. But we can ask that anything be ordered that we're interested in. So um, it's just a lot. We're busier, so it wouldn't have been possible to be doing everything like we did before. Um, so we really get to focus on the service. And then, yeah, we've got better technology as well because there's a full IT team that
Yes.
supports us.
Right.
So
Multiple members of an IT team.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's great and it's necessary because we have a lot of
Oh, you have
tech.
3D printers,
Yeah.
computers, just the Wi-Fi itself, where people come in and
Hmm.
use it themselves. There's some
Hmm.
gaming things I know that they
Yes.
discussed having, but that library extended hours. Talk a little more about that
Sure.
in terms of a city didn't do that, but a county does, and why does the
Yeah.
county do that?
Well, it's a new idea. It's not just because it's a big system. So maybe the city would have, who knows? We'll never know. But yeah, I believe it started, don't quote me on this.
No
I
quotes.
think it started in a more rural system where because of their staffing, they couldn't be open very much at all. So they kind of started self-service hours type there so that
Yeah.
people could pick up their holds and use the library. And then Dakota County took a leap to provide this cool service where people can badge in with their cards after hours and use the library without staff present. It sounded like a crazy idea when everyone first heard it. When it came time to roll around to us, it was last May that we got it. We had just been through so much change. We were like, oh yeah, another change.
Yeah.
This is okay. We've been through worse.
Yeah.
But it was quite an adjustment for other branches. But There have been a few incidents here and there, but the feedback has been pretty incredible.
Yeah.
People who work, and our hours at Kaposia are shorter than some of the other branches, so it's really convenient to be able to come in before work, after work. The hours are 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. People can use the library. We close at 5 some nights, so if groups want to use our meeting rooms,
Yeah.
they can badge in with the self-service hours card. I've heard a lot about kids with sensory issues where their parents bring them in during self-service hours when it's quieter.
Sure.
We have the calming space, of course, but it's even better. Or single moms who can't bring their kids in during our open hours.
Yeah.
They can use the play spaces after hours.
Yeah.
And so we've gotten feedback, or students too, college students. We have a couple high school students because it's 18 and up who will study there after hours.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really great.
So you talked about the sensory. You have a sensory area. Does that get used a lot? Is that tell me about that space and what's over there? And that it's in the front corner of the building.
Yes, the south corner
South.
by the children's, there's a calming space that we have. And that whole program started in Dakota County a few years ago and it was grant funded. And it was for folks on the spectrum or someone with sensory issues who needed a place to calm down, regulate. There's fidgets in there.
Yeah.
There's, I think, headphones, noise canceling, and there's, soft lighting, and it's a soft chair. There's a bean bag. So when we first opened, we left the room unlocked and then found out that's a very bad idea with teens. A private room with a beanbag. So we started locking it, but folks can come to the front desk and just discreetly ask for the calming space key. We've also seen it used. There's a kid who comes after school to pray in there.
Okay.
And then there's mothers who will nurse in there. So people use it in different ways, but they really appreciate that it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are some of the things in a modern library that, again, many of us don't think about having. Our recollection is the story time by the fireplace,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
and having that ability to go do our research and
Mhm.
get the cards with the Dewey Decimal System, right?
Mhm.
Is that even a thing anymore?
We use the Dewey Decimal System
do?
to
Okay.
organize by number in nonfiction. So things are organized by category. Those are our call numbers
Gotcha.
on the labels on the books. We don't use the card catalog anymore. Everything's online.
Yeah.
We, the old library and Dakota County, because they did it together, went computerized in 1988. So it's been a while. I do have the old card catalog from the old library in my office right now at Kaposia.
I mean, it's like a box or
It's
a
big.
wooden thing. Is it
Yeah,
wooden or
yeah,
is it?
yeah. So over there, we had been using it for our audio CDs, music
Oh yeah.
CDs.
Right.
So hopefully the plan is maybe we'll do a seed library someday.
How cool is
I
that?
know. We
Yeah.
have one in Farmington that's really popular, but
Is
we're
that
still getting settled.
would that be like bring a seed, take a seed, or is it like you research and you find these heirloom seeds and put those in
I
there?
think people, I haven't looked too far into it, but I think people can donate the seeds. I think maybe organizations donate. Again, don't quote me on
Yeah,
it.
sure. No, I
It's a
think it's great.
future project idea, and we've got the piece of furniture ready when the time is right.
Yeah, I think more people. You're a gardener. You like to do that. More people that understand how to do it and that they can do that, the better our society will be, and the
Yeah.
fresher foods that we eat, and the sharing, the product share. Because when you put a pepper plant in, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many peppers here, I can't possibly eat these. Take
Mhm.
some of these peppers. Take
Mhm.
some of these cucumbers. That just lends into
Sharing.
lends into community.
Oh,
Just
for
so
sure.
great.
Yeah. We have a puzzle swap right now, though,
Tell me about
which is
that.
bring a puzzle, take a puzzle.
It-
It's just a table with puzzles on it, and it's just been circulating back and forth. People love it. The puzzle people.
Do you want to know how you drive a puzzle person crazy?
Is this a dad joke coming? Let's
No,
hear it.
it's not a dad joke. It's like I do it at work. I come in and I take a puzzle piece.
That is so
I know it
cruel.
is, and then
Oh,
it's just one, and then they wait till the end, and then I come in there and say, "Well, it's not finished," and then I finish it for them, and
my
we
kids
have
just
a
got in
laugh
a huge fight
over.
about the last piece of a puzzle. That is cruel.
I know it is, but my team enjoys they know who's doing it now. So, do you ever have that though? Do you ever have puzzles that don't have all the pieces?
I hope not.
Oh, okay, so you haven't heard back
I
from
mean,
the puzzle.
take it your own risk.
Yeah, I suppose that's how it.
But yeah, that would frustrate me as a puzzle
Fun.
person.
I'm a colorblind person,
Oh,
so puzzles aren't. I don't do very well at puzzles because I can maybe help do the edges,
okay.
but sometimes I
Aw.
just pull them and I share 'em. I put them with my wife and I say, would this fit somewhere?"
This is why you steal them.
And yes, I do. And then I get coffee or snacks or whatever. I'm kind of like the butler.
Okay.
I like to make sure people
Puzzle
are
butler.
well fed while you're doing. I mean,
Okay.
a cup of coffee, you got to make sure that's flowing, or your tea.
Yeah.
That's important in puzzling.
Everyone needs that.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a list of questions here that I was supposed to get to, and we haven't
I
done
know.
that.
I think we might have answered a few
you-
of them.
you're-
Let's see.
You're listening to Conversations in South St. Paul, and we're talking with Honora Rodriguez from the Dakota County Library System at the Kaposia Library.
Yes.
And you are you said it before, but what is your title?
I'm the branch manager.
Branch manager.
Mhm.
And you were an employee of the South St. Paul Library, and so you had to apply for that job to get that, right? In the new system.
No,
Or
all
did
our
they just
staff was brought over
brought over? Oh,
at
great.
their the library director retired in South St. Paul right before the merger. So I did that job for 5 months.
And that's
and
where you're
then-
used to paying the bills, ordering the magazines.
Yeah, we had a
to-
board
Yeah, you had
and
to-
we dissolved the board. And
Lot of work
so,
at that.
yeah, it was a crazy time. So they took all of the employees over at our like comparable positions.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's a wonderful thing. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you have relationships with the members, the users. You talked about it's been the numbers are way up. You came and did a little presentation for the city council and shared that information. I was blown away at those
Right.
statistics. I know they're online, you can get them. But as you think about that, you're seeing those familiar faces, those familiar families, obviously,
Mhm.
but then maybe tell us a little bit more about the other people that you've seen come in. Are they coming because it's a new library and it's modern stuff, or are they coming because they need a new place from West St. Paul or from Inver
Mhm.
Grove? Or tell me how or what you're seeing there.
I think we're seeing a lot of new families. The old library wasn't as accessible. Hard to bring a stroller in, and then not accessible for folks with any disability. So we're getting groups from group homes more. A lot of regular groups from group homes coming in once a week all together. So that's neat. Obviously, we're getting way more teens
Mhm.
because they're always an elusive group that
Yeah.
that libraries are trying to reach. We're good. We've
Yeah.
got a built-in audience, so our teen programming numbers are wild. We're seeing definitely the Wentworth Library closed for a year renovation, so we're seeing a lot of Wentworth people coming in for the first time. Some folks were hesitant to come in because they were sad about the old library. But, they come in. We can always tell when it's a first timer because their eyes are wide and they're looking around. We have gorgeous light in there. It's kind of magnificent when you walk in.
It's a great word for it. It
Yeah.
is magnificent.
And it looks so much bigger on the inside. So, a lot of those folks who were nervous about the new library, after they look around, they'll stop by the desk and say, okay, this is really great.
Yeah.
So,
Isn't that fun?
yeah.
I bet
yeah.
you that makes you feel good too, because you're in it for everybody, and
Mhm.
and you have some thoughts on that as well. But just to embrace the future and the present of what we have.
Right. Both things we can love.
Yeah.
They're just different. So it was hard closing down the old library.
Absolutely.
There was a lot of emotion. So the last 2 weeks was really hard on my staff. People were coming in telling memories of people they'd lost who took them to the library, and there were tears, and so that was an emotional toll. But yeah, this community, the library is very important. So we've tried to honor the history of the old library. We have our quiet zone with the fireplace, which also that room houses the yearbooks that we have back to 1920s, and we'll continue to keep those yearbooks, which isn't super typical of a public library. Um, but and then we've got one of Ryan Sanford's photos of the old library in there. So we do honor the memory.
Yeah.
It was 100 years, and a lot of people contributed to that. And yeah,
Yeah, and in South St. Paul, as you've known, as you've seen in your time here, coming as a part-time job
mm-hmm,
and learning about the community and being here
mm-hmm,
today, running the Dakota County Library, that we do have passionate people
mm-hmm,
here, and there's so much pride in that. You talk about the yearbooks,
mm-hmm.
and that's not typical. Well, that's South St. Paul right there for you. We're
Right,
not typical, and we're doing those kinds of things that really hold on to those core memories.
right, right. But also providing a space for new stuff, like the SSP for All group, kind of. That's where they congregate and have meetings and have like built this organization. And so that's really cool to see a place where new connections are made.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the services from the county are, also not overlooked in that. I
Hmm.
know your staff, and they see people that need services, and they know
Hmm.
how to get that to them, and
Right.
it's just the library system is not what it used to be, but it's still about the same thing, which is reading, exploring,
Hmm.
researching,
Hmm.
and having quiet space to be able to do that, but
Hmm.
also having a gathering space that you can use to talk a
Right.
little bit louder. And you all have that walled off with doors. And if it's,
Yeah.
if something is getting too, loud, it's like, well, you stay over there. We're going to
Hmm.
close these doors, no problem. But
Hmm.
people want to read. And I think the idea that we deserve this library in town
Agreed.
is really embraced by all of the users and the uptick of all of those things.
Yeah.
You talked about Wentworth Library being renovated. That's another beautiful thing about being in a county system, is that's
Hmm.
accounted for and planned for, where perhaps the city, it's one of the things like, well, we don't have it this year, let's push it down the road, and it keeps
Hmm.
getting pushed down the road, and pretty soon you're 100 years old and you're
Right.
antiquated. But the county system, does really do that. I remember when the Wentworth Library was built, the same wide-eyed
Hmm.
person that I am, as a not necessarily an avid reader, but a research explorer. I like books. I like doing those things. And when it going up there, it was a totally different thing that you
Right.
kind of had to, whoa, what, you're walking through a turnstile? What is this about? And
Hmm.
well, that's your library card, and that's how you get in. And kind of the carpet and the stuff now is getting redone and refreshed.
Right.
Not the building itself, the outside, or maybe they are changing a couple
They're
things.
not changing the outside. I believe it's just a gut, and it's going to be. You can look online to see the plans. Really beautiful.
Takes a whole year, so I know it's
Yeah,
it's
it's a serious renovation. Dakota County is known for beautiful library buildings. All county buildings are beautiful, and Dakota County Library has won awards and is kind of doing some innovative things in the library world. So we're happy to be a part of that for sure.
yeah. And in my role, looking at that and analyzing all those things and taking apart all those people who were adamant about not leaving, that was the biggest draw. The county system, they're experts at this. This is what
Hmm.
they do. They have teams of people, and their willingness to take you all onto them to say, we they're not librarians, and people working in libraries aren't a dime a dozen. They're not everywhere. You are specialized people.
Thanks.
You all have skills and talents that people not a lot of them out there. So they recognize that, we recognize that, and
Yeah.
I think it's been the best thing that we could have ever done in our library history, is
Yeah. It,
do this.
yeah, and it's everyone kind of had to come around to it, but I see it as a great thing. I'm I think that and I've never heard anyone else say it, that like this community deserves this library.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're really utilizing it, and it's neat to see. And it's neat to see it as a gathering space, and a people space.
Mhm.
So my office or my desk for years was in the basement of the old library. And there's this old photo of the basement, and it didn't have shelves in it. It was truly a community space with a piano. That's where people gathered. So it's not really that foreign of an idea that the library is a people space.
Yeah.
Of course, we have books and help people with all of that, but um, it's cool to see it being used in that way it was originally used.
Intended.
Yeah.
That's really what all that is, that gaining of knowledge and sharing of the knowledge and the discussing and even the oral history of passing that stuff
Mhm.
down with people who may back then not even be able to read, but would be able to sit and listen to somebody else read or play the piano and sing a song and then recite that back to somebody. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a wonderful thing. Um, you've recently been in the news a couple times
I know where
about
this is going.
a returned record, an album that was returned after a long time, and there was no fees in that. And you can tell the story, but you actually turned it back over to the person and said, "Yeah, thanks for bringing it in, but we no longer take LPs or check out LPs."
Right. So a guy came in, and I feel like he had avoided the library for a long time because of this. And he was with his grandkids and wanted to get a card. So he got set up with a card, and then he said, I have a record at home that I've had for a while. And apparently he had checked it out in 1976, if I
Sounds right.
remember,
Yeah.
when he was in 8th grade. Now he's a grandpa. So then he brought it in a week or two later and showed it to us. Well, of course, we don't circulate vinyl anymore. The South St.
That's a
Paul
shame.
Library,
That's a shame because
some
vinyl.
libraries do. I think in St. Paul Public, they have small
Just
collections.
kidding.
But no, I agree. I own a record player and have a lot of records at home. But um, yeah, the South St. Paul Library doesn't quite exist anymore. So, and we don't have fines. So go ahead and keep it. I think he just wanted to show it to us.
Yeah, it was pretty neat, and it was
was
a great
really
story.
neat.
It started with you taking a photo of it and posting it
Yeah.
on social media, just saying how that was, and then a couple of news stations picked it up, which is fun and good news to have.
Oh, it
But
was
the fees,
heartwarming.
yeah, let's talk about the fees. I mean,
Yeah.
that is another barrier for people that may not come back because they had fees or they've forgotten about books or
Mhm.
changes in their life and they moved and they lost them, heaven
Right.
forbid, or something happened to it where they spilled all over it and
Yeah.
embarrassed to bring it back. But there are no fees. Talk about that program or how that's sustainable.
Sure. Uh, all of the metro libraries now are fine free. We've been fine free since January 2024. It was something that Margaret Stone, the director, worked really hard on. And I know Washington County hasn't had fees for a very long time, and I didn't understand it myself at the time. But we're not in this business to make money off of overdue fees.
Right.
We're in it to strengthen the community and help people. And so when you don't have access to the library, we can't do that, or when that's a barrier. So a lot more people use the library now that they don't have that shame with older stuff. So we still charge for lost books. You can't just come check out books and walk away. But yeah, it was just such a barrier that it didn't make sense anymore, and we're serving the public better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And technology is better. So now again, tracking and all those things and maybe reaching them different ways to get it and knowing who back when they come back in about those to have those conversations. I'm sure it's
Right.
really helped
Yeah.
again, people really don't want to take stuff from the library. That's not
No.
their goal when they come in there. It's they want to use it, but the barrier is lifted now, and that I think
Mhm.
opens up that opportunity for more people to say, "Oh, I don't have to fear that," which is
Right.
really
I've
a simple,
experienced it too.
yeah,
Avoided a library because I wasn't sure.
yeah.
This was a long time ago, but
So you felt it. You know what
Oh,
that feels
and I
like
see it
too.
all the time. People come back so ashamed when they have late stuff, and then they see us being like, "It's okay."
Yeah.
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 So,
Well, we've talked a lot in conversations of South St. Paul. Talked about library, talked about you, learned a bit about you.
mhm.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to share? Anything that as you look forward to this summer and to the fall,
Mhm.
what's coming up, or what are things that people can know that are going to continually be there at the library that they can look for, and if they've never been, to come and
Yeah,
get their library card.
absolutely. It's easy. But the most exciting thing coming up is Summer Discovery, which is the children and teen summer reading program. So we'll have lots of events.
Has this been done before?
Yeah, we've always had um,
Summer
a
reading.
summer reading program.
Yeah.
So you can win a book, and there's a reading log, or there's also activities you can do. Um, and there's programming too. So there will be a kickoff party, and all of this is on our website. But Library Carlos, he's our children's librarian, will be doing every Monday it's called Monday Summer Fun Day, something like that. So there will be something for everyone to do every Monday at the library, plus other stuff. We'll have the summer playhouse.
Yes.
We'll be coming on Wednesdays.
Where are they
So
going to set up? Will it be across the street on the
nope, they
hillside?
use our large meeting room,
Oh, they
and they
come
did it
inside.
last
Oh,
summer.
cool.
Yeah, so hope everybody, on those hot days we have air
Yeah,
conditioning. Come to the library.
that was always our thing as kids,
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't have air conditioning. So
Yeah.
it was let's go to the library and read a few books and just
Oh,
get
totally.
out of the heat. And
We are cooling spaces
yeah. Nothing's changed in that regard. You're still there. You're still available.
with
for
better AC.
Yeah. And you have kits too, right? You have kits that people can check out. Project kits.
There are some things you can request on our catalog. Since we're one of the smaller ones, we don't house
Okay.
some of those. But we have Chromebooks people can check out. We have sports equipment too, for checkout all summer if anyone's listening who wants to play soccer in the park across the street. That's been really helpful with the kids coming after school, keep them busy. Maybe someday we can get a basketball hoop over there. Wouldn't that be great?
That's what we've worked on and talked about. It's really, the school then gets involved, right? And they have a process, and
Yes.
everybody has a process. The city has a
Everybody
process. The county
does.
has a process. The school has a process.
It'd be so neat though.
It would be ideal.
There's
And
a lot of bored kids with
energy.
energy.
Yes.
That's not library energy, so
Right.
it's can be hard for us.
Yeah.
So it's been nice to be able to check out those balls so they can go to the park and get that energy out. They also play on the playground, these cool, tough middle schoolers. So yeah, it's that energy that needs to get out. So yeah. Hopefully the library will be a hopping place still this summer.
Yeah. And families, again, that's a shout out to everybody. It's on your website, but if you're looking for activities, things to do, you have schedules of events.
Yep.
You're-
Everything's free.
Everything's free,
Mhm.
and there's no fines. So if
Fines.
you're looking to get back into the library and worried about your record from 1976, don't worry. All that
worry.
stuff,
You
forget
might
about
get
it.
famous for it,
You might-
actually.
Exactly. So as we close this chapter of our podcast, maybe do you have any? And I know this is off the cuff, but do you have any book recommendations that you could share with anybody, or maybe a book that's very popular in the checkout that people are really interested in, or a series that people could maybe look for? Because when you go to a library and you don't have something,
Mhm.
it's nice to have a idea to go into, like, research or look for, or read I'm looking for a book on popes.
Yes.
The Pope's popular right now.
Yeah.
So do you have anything like that you could share with us before we close out?
Sure. Well, I am one of those librarians that's not got my nose in a book all the time. I'm super busy. Reading makes me tired. So I listen to audiobooks a lot.
Yes.
Was
gonna
I
talk
can
about that, 'cause
multitask.
that's-
Love them.
Yes.
And then we have the digital with Libby and Hoopla. So those are great. You just listen on your phone. You can speed it up. But I do run the Kaposia Library Book Club, and the last book we read was I Must Betray You by Ruta Sepetys, about the Romanian Revolution.
Interesting.
Super interesting. Our next book is A Good Time for the Truth, which we meet this Monday. I haven't started it yet because I forget. So I have to the weekend before. So we'll be reading that.
So you're just like us. Even though you're a librarian, you're just like us.
Yeah.
I am like you. Like that's how I do. I
Well,
remind myself to read it before I got to.
Yeah. I was an English major, so I read a lot. And reading for me is like work because I'm analyzing in a different way.
Sure.
So it's not going to be my relaxing go-to.
Sure.
But listening is great.
Yeah.
So as far as coming into the library for recommendation, our librarians are incredible. And there's also on our catalog, there's a tab, if you look up a book you like, there's a tab novelist, and they'll give you read-alikes, titles, or authors that you might like based on this book. So you can do that at home, but we love helping with that stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's good. That's great. It's encouraging and open, opens the book for many people to be able to come in and do that. And even if they don't have anything, come and look at your phone in the quiet space and just be around all this activity.
Yes.
And you won't be disappointed. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
It's a great library.
It is a great library. Well, Honora Rodriguez from the Dakota County Library System at the Kaposia Library here in South St. Paul. Thanks for joining us on our conversations in South St. Paul. And we look forward to reading with you in the future.
Thank you for having me.